Hello, in this video I'm going to talk about buying real estate. It's actually a question that shows up in the section on some annuities, specifically like sinking funds and whatnot. Um, so suppose that you will sell some land in Nevada. You are to be paid a lump sum of 60,000 in 7 years. Until then, the buyer pays 8% simple interest quarterly. Find the amount of each quarterly interest payment on the 60,000. Okay, so we're just looking for just the quarterly payment. Um, Now the other part of it is that what we want to do is to be able to look at uh, the buyer. The buyer is going to set up an account where it's a sinking fund so that enough money will be present to pay off the $60,000. The buyer will make semi-annual payments into the sinking fund, and the account pays 6% compounded semi-annually. Find the amount of each payment into the fund. So this is a bit of a two-step problem, really, or really if you want to look at it as two questions. So the first thing that we need to do is to identify our different parameters. So we know that the amount, which we can consider as the principal, is the 60,000. Now, to solve that, what we can do is just use the interest formula, which is I equals PRT. So essentially, we're just going to take the 60,000, we're going to multiply that by the simple interest of 8%, and because we're only calculating just the quarterly interest payment, then in that case, we just need to take 1/4. So by doing this, this is going to calculate the quarterly interest payment. Now, when we compute this using a calculator, basically we'll see that you get that the amount of the quarterly interest payment is $1,200. Okay, so that's going to be the interest, the quarterly interest payment, and that's for over the 7 years. Now, this next part of the question actually is, in my opinion, more interesting because essentially we have that the buyer wants to have enough money to pay for the land. So this is actually a sinking fund because we have that essentially this is just the reverse. We know that the future value is equal to the sequence of the payments multiplied by 1 plus I raised to the n minus 1, and this is all divided by I. Now, in this case, we actually don't know what the payment is, but we do know what the sinking fund happens to be. It's 60,000. So this is going to be equal to the payment multiplied by 1 plus, okay, so the interest that we have is 6%, but it's compounded semi-annually, so you're going to take 0.06 divided by 2, and essentially we have that that's over the 7 years. So in this case, that's going to be 14. And then we have minus 1. And all of this is divided by the interest, which is 0.06 divided by 2. Now, we can probably clean this up just a little so that way the algebra is not so bad. So for example, if we go ahead and we clean up the algebra, we have that the sequence of the payments is equal to, in this bracket, we're going to put that we have 1.03 raised to the 14 minus 1, and all of this is divided by 0.03. Now, normally what you could probably do in any case is solve algebraically how to get the payment. So in any case, we know that essentially all that you need to do is to divide, which in this case we end up with the following, symbolically. Symbolically, we end up with 60,000 multiplied by 0.03, and then all of this is divided by 1.03 raised to the 14 minus 1. And then we can probably just close parentheses, for example. Now, another case, like if you want to do this like where you just use a lot of parentheses, you can do that too. Like for example, I know that if I take the 60,000 and I multiply that by not negative, but 0.03, we get 1800. Now, I want to be careful because I don't really want to technically cause room for errors, rounding errors. So essentially what I kind of want to do is go ahead and just take that amount, the 60,000 times the 3%, and I'm gonna multiply those, and again we get 1800, but that's divided by parentheses 1.03, and all of this is raised to the 14, and then I guess we could just do minus 1, and then close parentheses, and then just hit enter. Okay, so this comes out to a payment of $3,511.58. Okay, so this is the semi-annual payments made over the 7 years. Okay, so in any case, this buyer is going to have the $60,000 at the end of the 7 years period. But consider this, they're only making 14 payments as opposed to the 28 with the quarterly simple interest payments. So what we can do is kind of look at the layout of the payments made over the 7 years into the sinking fund. That part is actually a lot more interesting. So for example, we know that there's going to be 14 payments. So in that case, we have that the amount of the deposits will be the $3,511.58 over the 14 payments, but you want to be careful about the last one. The last one is actually determined by however much interest has accrued, and then it has to equate to 60,000. So it's a little bit of an algebra problem where you're just trying to figure out, the interest plus the previous. What amount would you need to deposit so that it balances out to 60,000? Now, another case, like one thing to consider is that when you set up the interest fund or the sinking fund, that there is no interest earned at the beginning, so that's why we have 0. The total amount in the account, well, you deposited the $3,511.58 with no interest, so in that case, we know that it's going to be just that amount. But then when you come around the second payment, because remember that you're making semi-annual payments for 7 years, so you have another payment coming up, or yeah, you have a next payment. So that amount of interest that's going to be earned is determined by how much is in the account. So you have to take the total and you have to multiply by the interest rate over the period, which in this case is, so I did the total times 0.03, and I got 105.35. Now, to get the balance, you basically just need to add the interest that's earned, the monthly or the semi-annual payment, plus whatever the account balance was. You can easily see that by by these 3 cells that I added, and it equals the $7,128.51. Now, unfortunately, there is a little bit of a rounding error, but that's okay because, if you're using Excel or a graphing calculator, it's not going to be entirely accurate. But this at least gives you an idea of a example of when we might set up a sinking fund and a balance sheet so that we know that at the end of the period, we want to have that 60,000 um, at the end so it balances out. So like all the deposits plus the interest has to equal to 60,000 in either case. So to get the next payment or the interest earned, you're basically just taking the previous balance of the 7,128 and 51 cents and you're multiplying by the interest rate of 6% over the period, which in this case is 2. But you can see that I just used a simple formula where I just took the cell times the 3%, because 6% divided by 2 is 3%, so you might as well just reduce it if you want. But it gives me the interest of the $213.86. From there, it's just a matter of adding those three cells, this one plus the deposit plus the interest earned, we get this amount. You do that over the entire period, and then you just add, and the end balance is going to be 60,000. Okay. Now I won't really go into how do you determine the last payment because again, it's more or less kind of like algebra because you're just figuring out how much interest do you have earned on the previous balance. You're going to add that to it, but then from there you're just going to subtract that from 60,000 to figure out what your last payment is. In any case, if you ever had a car loan or a credit card payment, you might notice that if you pay a little more, that you always end up with a balance of like maybe a penny or two. Or if you make excessive payments, you might have a credit balance that goes beyond that. So in that case, that means that they owe you more. And that's a nice feeling sometimes, but it's not when it's maybe the opposite, like it's money that you're actually paying off. So maybe, you'd want to get that money back that you paid towards it. But in either case, like this is just an example of how we can lay out the account over the entire period, and it just balances out to the 60,000. Now, if I was to go ahead and look at the interest that was earned over the entire period, I would notice that the interest that was earned is about $10,000, 837.87 cents, and that's actually pretty good because that's over 7 years. But then if you look at how much was deposited into the account, you have that it's almost 49,000. Well, it's almost 50,000, but it's actually 49,162 and 13 cents. Now, if I was to add these two, it shouldn't be a surprise that it equals 60,000. So really, the amount that the buyer is putting in towards the sinking fund, it's not even the complete 60,000 because that was the whole point. They don't want to have to, pay the entire amount. They actually want to pay towards a sinking fund so that they have enough money to afford it instead of borrowing it. So in any case, this is a nice example of when you might look into purchasing real estate, for example. But we could also look at the opposite side of it. Like suppose you're the borrower. Suppose that you didn't set up a sinking fund, but you set up a mortgage account, and you're basically just deciding that you want to pay that off over that period. Unfortunately, that would mean that you'd be paying more than the 60,000 if you borrowed it, as opposed to just setting up a fund so that you'd have enough money for it. So in any case, to make it short, is that this actually is probably better in the sense that you are not paying too much towards interest versus like if you did finance it or take out a mortgage, then of course you're actually going to end up paying more than the $60,000 that was borrowed.